Hello, everyone. My name is Katie Durben, and for my final for our psychology class, I will be doing it on how mental health is misrepresented in media. So, today I'm talking about 4 films: Split, Psycho, The Visit, and Garden State. So, there's going to be a common theme, especially in the first 3, that mental health gets very disproportional, very outlandish in specifically horror films. So let's move on. First, we have the movie Split. If you don't know what this movie is about, it's about a man with multiple personalities, and the host name is Kevin. And Kevin has 23 different personalities. So in this movie, it shows a man, Kevin, who kidnaps 3 girls and is on an evil streak because one personality has recently taken over and shoved all the other personalities to the side. So this causes people with DID to be painted in this light that one personality has to be crazy. One personality is absolutely psycho. It shows through the movie that multiple of his personalities are totally normal. They come out when the girls are around and the girls get sympathy from these multiple personalities. But there's 2 personalities that are downright evil. The one that kidnaps the girls, and then towards the end, there is another personality that comes out, and it is like a monster. It grows muscles and he transforms. And I know this is dramatized for the film, but it also does really negative things because dissociative identity disorder or split personality, multiple personality disorder is something that is not talked about right now, hardly ever. It is something a lot of people do not understand. And movies like this put negative connotations in people's heads. So this ties into the next movie because it has similar themes. Psycho has the same theme as Split. So it's a movie about a woman and her boyfriend on the run. They stole $40,000 from the law and they stop at a hotel in the middle of the night in typical horror movie fashion. It's pouring down rain and it's this hotel in the middle of nowhere, and they go there, and our main guy, Norman Bates, is the owner of this hotel. Well, as the story progresses, we learn that Norman is obsessed with his mother, and he has an unhealthy and weird obsession with his mom. She has a lover. He is very, very jealous of his mom's new love, kills them both, and takes over her motel. But under the plot is still this theme that because he has DID, and I think that's the problem with the misrepresentation of mental illnesses in film, it's everything is happening because they have this mental illness. And if you're not familiar with DID, dissociative identity disorder, it is where something incredibly traumatic, hard PTSD, after that happens, it is almost like a wall gets built up and every ounce of defense splits. And that's how the multiple personalities come forth. If somebody has DID, it is very, very common that they have a protector because they have gone through this super traumatic experience. And to take that experience and then to make it in a horror film, as if there's so many personalities in a person, they have to be evil at some point, completely gives the media the total wrong idea when it comes to this mental illness that we know nothing about. And in our text, it is all about information and it is all about getting the right information out there, and this does the exact opposite of it. So now, kind of switching gears a bit, we have The Visit. So this is a movie about two kids. They're going to stay with their grandparents, who they haven't seen in a very, very long time. They're dropped off at the grandparents' house. And so as the movie progresses, there is something incredibly wrong with the grandparents as you get going. And it comes to the end of the movie, and I'm sorry if this is a spoiler alert if you haven't seen this movie. It is not their grandparents, it is psychiatric patients from a mental hospital that have gotten loose and now want to kill these two children. This again leads to the assumption that the only people in mental hospitals are evil and insane and deranged. And that just is not true. There is people in mental hospitals who genuinely just need help to live their day-to-day life. And there is already a huge stigma around mental health facilities and psychiatric facilities. And to do these types of movies does more damage than good. For horror movies, and in my personal opinion, we can do these aspects of, we could have done this for this movie, for example. It could have been two older people who are sick individuals, and they took these children and they want to kill them. Let's just say that. But we don't need this underlying aspect of any mental health issues, because in reality, when you look at the story, it is very unrelated. Did they have to be deranged people from a psychiatric facility, or could they have just been sick people on their own? So that's where it really makes me upset, is we didn't need this underlying tone of this happened because of a mental illness. And I saw that in our text when we discussed it's person first and then this mental illness. You're not a person because of your mental illness. So in this last one, I was going to do 4, and then as I was doing my research, this one resonated with me the hardest, because a lot of people in my life struggle with depression. And Garden State is about a man who goes back home because his mother has recently passed. He becomes depressed because of course, all of the things happening in the movie. His mother's passing, going back to a hometown that isn't the greatest to start with, but he meets back up with old friends. And through this movie, he is developing love, he's falling in love, and then he stops taking his medication. The theme of the film is that depression can be cured by love, which is not true. Depression is not something just because you feel sad a couple of times. Depression is an actual mental health disorder where you cannot imagine yourself being happy. But normal people that appear normal in society can have these depressing thoughts. And they could have felt the most love in the world. People that are depressed are not deprived of love, and that's what this movie got across. That with the right amount of love, you can be cured, quote unquote. So, there is a right way to showcase mental health. Be informative. Put as much information in these films and as much true information as possible. Don't exaggerate the mental illnesses to an extent to where if someone wasn't educated in this subject, they could think that it was true. If someone is not educated in dissociative identity disorder, they can truly think that, oh wow, they have to have a personality that is evil. And cast people either with experience or who are willing to do the research and get it done in a tasteful way. A show that I really recommend, so this isn't all negative, is Alexa and Katie. So this show is on Netflix. It is about two best friends, Alexa with the darker hair on the left, has cancer, and it's about navigating her high school experience. But her best friend on the right with the blonde hair, Katie, also towards the last season develops anxiety, and it works through how she copes with anxiety in her day-to-day life. And it's truly beautiful how they showcase anxiety, because at first she's really ashamed of it, and then she accepts it and learns how to cope and learns how to combat the anxiety. But then she's put on her own in a couple situations where she's like, oh my gosh, my mom knows what to do, but I don't know what to do to help myself. And it's just truly beautiful. So this is a show that if you want good representation, it really is. So to conclude, here is all of my references. So thank you very much for listening, and I hope you enjoyed.